welcome along. Part 3 here of the Bronco build, my way. As somebody mentioned in the comments in part 1, just like Frank Sinatra and Sid Vicious, doing it my way. So hope you're enjoying it. It's sometimes a bit more interesting to watch a build being done differently, and it's also nice to see that in the comments somebody actually picked this cut up and gave up on it, probably for the reasons of the assembly sequence. So as I said before, Kitty Hook, if you're watching and you want me to give you a hand, I will. I don't mind. I'm not working at the moment, so I'd be only too grateful. So where are we? This has arrived. This has just come in the post this morning. Today is Wednesday the 19th of June 2019, and that's just come in the post, and another big Ed set came as well in a separate envelope, so I'll be doing a review on that later as well. So yeah, this is basically the exterior set that we discussed in part 2, and I'll go through this in a minute. Now, a couple of things I want to show you in this video. You probably noticed I've brought you in a bit closer. Remember I talked about when we fitted this spine panel here, I had a bit of an issue around this area where I'd removed the sprue nib. And this is what I'm talking about, and this is where model manufacturers like Wingnut Wings wouldn't do this sort of thing. And we need these guys to learn that, you know, why put a sprue nib there when you could have put it there? I understand mold technology and flow paths and all that, but I don't think it would have hurt to have it there rather than there. There, it's hidden away, it's up behind the wing, and it's an easy case of just sanding away like that. I mean, there's a lump there that's got to be sanded off anyway. Here, we're into this, you can see, is this corner. So what we've got to do is try and get that out. So what I do is I just sand the top of it flush so I can see my edges, and then with a round blade I go in and I just roll the blade over and make a line on the part. And then when I know that that line is in line with the rest of the fuselage, I just slice down like that, and then come in from the side, and I'm not pushing too hard for fear that I'll slip and cut my thumb, but I just want to slice that little lump out, and then go from the top again, and there we go, it's gone. And now what I can do is just get the corner of this blade, just push it into the corner and just scrape that bit out. Alright, and then when we come to fit this part, we should get a fairly nice joint. There you go, you can see there. Alright, now that's going to be filled and sanded anyway, but I'm happy with how that's come out. So just sand the stick just to give that extra little clean up. I need the hard one actually. And there we go. Now, a lot of you guys are asking questions about tools and sanders and everything, and you want me to talk about where I get them and all that. I'm afraid I cannot do that in every single video I make, because my regular people who watch all my videos just get absolutely sick and tired of hearing about it. So every sort of few videos I talk about it, where I get them and where they're available from. I've actually done videos on tools. I've done a whole video on sanding sticks. So, you know, go back, have a look through my library and see what's there, because really, you know, you're asking me to show stuff that I've already really talked about. So I thought I had another one to do. So that one's done. Now this one's not done. I was looking there where that mark is there. It's actually up here. So once again, come along with the blade, push it into the side, roll it over the top, and then do the same this way. Now I've left a little bit on there, so I need to shave that away, and then just get in with the corner of the blade and scrape that away like so. And there we go, that's that done, all nice and clean. so we can get all those glued together. The next thing I wanted to show you was, if you remember, I showed you last time in this panel. Now this is all going to get sanded flat, I think, because none of this exists. They give you these panels like this, or they have chaff dispensers in them. You don't want the chaff dispensers in a Vietnam bird because they didn't have them. So basically that's just going to fit in there like so. When you look at it from this side, you can see it's pretty recessed, it's pretty deep in there. So what I'm going to do, I can take some out of here if I want to, just like that. 3 scrapes there, 3 scrapes there, 3 there, and 3 there. There will be anything like enough to get it flush. So what we can do then is we can remove plastic from here. And just keep checking, make sure it's going in the right way. Just keep checking until it's flush. Alright. Okay, so I said I got the photo etch parts here now, so let's make a start on getting one of these undercarriage bays built up with it all in there. So first of all, we've got to remove the raised detail from here. That's how the part looks to start with, and then that's how the part looks after I've finished. The reason I've drilled holes in there is so I can glue it in from behind, because what I want to do is put this oil tank in first, like so, and then I can take the piece of photo etch, I can slot it down in behind there and make sure that it fits in behind. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to end up with the oil tank being wedged out, and we can see there that it is still slightly wedged out, so I do actually need to remove some more material from the base of there. So basically what's happening is that on the standard part, there's a recess in the plastic here for the oil tank to sit in. So obviously we need to sand down to that recess and then remove it a little bit more to allow for the thickness of the photo etch. So let's try that again. Put that down in behind there. And it's still slightly held out, but I'm not going to worry about it because I can glue that down. I'm just going to nudge that across and take one of the side panels and just make sure that it's not interfering. No, it's not, with the fit of that. And there it is, all in place. So now I can get the glue going from behind, and just with the cocktail stick just put some glue into these holes. Just to lock that panel in place. Here we go. Just hold that down. And I'm just going to use my glue looper to put some glue in behind that corner. Just hold that down. And then the other thing you do with these glue loopers, you can use the edge of the blade to run, whoops, cotton bud quickly. Just run the cotton bud over there to remove the excess. And that's purely one of the reasons for gluing it from behind, is so you don't get accidents like that. So there we go, that's all sealed in now. So I can take that tank out, put some glue on the back of that, and then slot that in. And then I can just take some plastic cement, glue that in from the bottom. So there we go, that's the first part photo etch in. And I am just going to get a knife and scrape away lightly. The other thing you can use is your good old fiberglass pen, and just scrub along the edge like that to remove any excess glue that's on there. Okay, and if you haven't got one of these, it comes from RS, you can get them from AK and that, but RS 514868, absolutely brilliant for burnishing or polishing brass and removing excess glue or solder, whatever. Really, really good tool. The only thing is you do get tiny shards of fiberglass off it, which aren't very nice at all, really. So there we go, so that's the first part done. Now I need to glue in this disc here, which is number 44. So what I'm going to do for that, I'm going to take a cocktail stick, just chop the end off it. The bench is getting very cluttered here, isn't it? And if I wet the end of it, I can pick that up. It may be slightly too heavy actually for this. Yes, it is. So I'll try the old grease pencil. That seems to work. So I can put a drop of glue here. There you go, just a drop in the middle like that. Pick up this part. Get it lined up. And once I'm happy with position, just give it a little push. That's it, that's locked in place now. So that's a little access panel there, which looks a lot better than the moulded on rivet detail that was there. Now we're going to move on to this rear bulkhead area, G7, and I've sanded off this detail here. So I'm going to take this panel, and what I'm going to do is put that panel in place like so. Hold it down, put some super glue on the corner, just like that. Then I'm going to do the same on the other end. Just hold that down. And then just remove any excess glue. My finger stuck to that one, so the glue capillaried under my finger, unfortunately. So there you can see that just removes that, and then we can give the whole thing a polish across the bottom, because we're going to glue on a tiny little step, which is this part here, number 42. That's going to go in like so across there. So I'm going to grab my clamping tweezers, let's see if I can clamp this in place. just good enough to hold it there. I'm happy with that. So now, because it's going in that way and the bottom won't be seen, I can just run some glue along the bottom edge. Just give it a tap on the ends. That should be that held in place. And then with a cotton bud we could just remove the excess. And then a quick sand over there. And that's that in place like that. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now we've got tiny little part number 5 to go on the bottom of the oil tank, which is here. So I'm going to take my big round blade, cut that away. Wet the finger, pick it up in the tweezers, like so. Hold it nice and tight, sanding stick. Just remove those nibs. Like so. And then what I'm going to do with this is just hold it in my tweezers, and the position is bottom right corner, and it's not really going to be very visible, so I'm not going to worry too much about its position. Just put a drop of glue there. Oh dear, I dropped it. Damp finger, pick it up, grab it like that. In fact, this would be better with a wet cocktail stick. Pick it up and then dab it on. And instantly the glue's gone off, which wasn't the plan. And now that part is on an angle. So I'm going to have to go off camera, get that off, and then I'll glue it back on. Okay then guys, I think I found a little mistake, just a tiny one in the Eduard instructions. It's showing you that this bracket should go on here with the sort of the slot underneath the front edge, but when you actually look at the original plastic part, you can see the slot is actually on the back edge, and when you put this in, you will see that basically it goes in and it lines up with those corners there in those side panels. So what I'm going to do is fit this in place like so. Just hold it together on the front here a second. Let's get some more tape. So what I'm going to do is put this in place so it's in the same orientation in relation to the side walls, because it would make sense if it's an L-shaped bracket, it would make sense that it would terminate on either side into an L-shaped structure, if you like. So that, you know, that would make sense to me. And there you can see that we've got a small gap down the back where obviously our photo etch is thinner than the plastic. So that's fine, that's good. What we can do is just put some glue down there hold that in place, and then I should be able to just nudge it around like that so that it's parallel. Okay, so that's nearly parallel. Just go back a touch more. Whoops. I've got it flush on the back there, flush with the back of the structure on the sides. Okay, now I'm hoping that's going to stay in position, because what I want to do is remove the sides. That gap is closed up now, where we've got to the point where we can actually use the glue to fill it in, and then we should be able to sand that all flush afterwards. Hopefully, if that'll just stay in position there, and it won't. Alright, so that's in now, and quite a little job, quite a job to get it in. Maybe better to go along with not putting the oil tank in and actually glue it between the sides and then slide the oil tank in afterwards. There is a tiny gap at the back. I'll have to put some Mr. Surfacer in there, but no, to all intents and purposes that's in there. You've got to be really careful. It just doesn't look right, because if you've got it slightly out that way it looks awful, if you've got it slightly out that way it looks awful, but then if you haven't got it lined up with the L here on the side, then that also looks awful. So it's a bit awkward. So next bit now is this box up here, number 47. You can see we've got to fold that one up, and what I'm going to do there is basically get my sanding stick, and I'm going to just rough up this back face here, which will become apparent in a minute. And then, as with, I'm going to say all, but probably should say 99% of Eduard photo etch, the side that you see the recess to fold on is the side you bend up on. Okay, if you actually have to fold something right over, like when you get the end of a lever and it's got a ball on it, then you always fold away from the line. So if I wanted to fold this over and back to double its thickness, I would fold it this way, because if I tried to fold it that way it would snap. So when you're folding 90 degrees or less, fold up on the line. 90 degrees or more, fold away from the line. Okay, so a little tip for you there. Another little tip, what I do, get a razor blade, get it into the groove that I'm going to fold on, slot it underneath like that. That's it, that's in place now. Now I can fold that, just slacken the clamp, and then there we go. And the reason I slacken the clamp is because, well, I'll show you now. What I'm going to do is put that in there, slide that over like so, and then I'm going to fold. And the reason I slacken the clamp is so that it gives it a chance to move and not tear it apart, because as it folds it stretches, so I don't want it to tear it apart. So that's that one done like that, and now this one could do the same. Fold that over like so, and then we could come around to one of our little fingers around here, see which one's the right sort of width. That one's too wide, that one's okay. just get one there by eye and just pop that one over like that, and that's that job done. Now what I'm going to do is just bend them all in a little bit more than they should be, just to give it a bit of springiness to make it all hold itself together. So if you can imagine, here's the corner. If I just have it like that, it's sat like that. If I bend this one in slightly and bend this one in slightly, they spring together and lock in the corner. So that's what I'm attempting to do here. That's that. Now what I'm going to do, take a piece of plastic. I've already measured this and it's about 4 mil deep. And what I'm going to do is put some super glue in the bottom. Like so. In fact, while I'm here, I'll run some super glue up all the sides. Now if this was external, I would solder this. If you want to see how I solder the brass, go and have a look at the I think it's part 3 of the Typhoon build along, and you'll see on there I show you how I solder. I'm going to build a seat. So I'm just going to put this plastic blob in there like so, and that's going to give me something to stick to, because when you're actually sticking stuff like this on the sidewall here, you want more than just the edge of the brass to hold it there in place. So that's all nicely glued in place now, and I'm just going to check I've got nothing sticking out. There we go. So now I can look at the instructions and I can see that this needs to go, I've got these 3 holes here, 3 holes there, so they need to go upwards, and it's going to sit in there like that. So what I'm going to do is put a blob of super glue there and just sit that in like so. So there we go guys, there it is, all done. Photo etch in, they're all not glued together yet obviously, but all the photo etch in. We've got the rear panel there, the cross member there, the box, the access panel at the bottom there, and then we've got the stiffener and this detail panel up here. And then once we've got the detail along the edges here as well, it's going to look very, very nice indeed. So add a bit of wire to that, and we're well away. So now you can see why I was so intent on getting this before I carried on. So now this will all get glued together and fitted inside those booms and painted up. So I'll be back with some more in a minute. Okay then guys, so now the time has come to put these undercarriage bays together, and I've got this one out here. I'm not sure which side it is, but this one is KK, so let's assume that that's KK there, but it doesn't say, and this will be the port. This will be the left hand side. So I'm not putting the undercarriage leg in, I don't need to, it can go in afterwards, so that's all fine. So, and it's telling us here it needs to be painted 36622, which is an off-white colour, C311, which is, I'll just show you here. C311 is there, and that's called, it's just called grey, FS36622, and it's just off-white. So that's that done. Now what I've done here, I've gone around with an off-white primer and just basically gone underneath in the areas that I won't be able to get to once it's all built up, just so that you don't see bits of brass and light grey plastic showing through. Done the same underneath there, you see, just and everywhere you're not going to be able to get to. The other thing is this part here that goes across, this part H32 is basically just a 1.2mm plastic rod, so I'm using a piece of plastic rod to save me having to remove the mould seams. So and this guys is where it really pays dividends, having your parts marked up, because you can see you could quite easily do this and put that one over there, and then you'd end up with an incorrect assembly. So it's good to mark them up on the backs before, when you take them off the sprue, or even before you take them off the sprue, and then you know where you are. So yeah, G25, G17 and G32 all go together, and you can see here you've got this Y shape here is going to line up with the stiffening rib on there. So let's get these bays together, and I'll do one on camera and then I'll do one off. So I'll do this one on, and no particular reason, because this one's not better or anything, it's just because it's here. So I'm just going to tack glue it all together with some of the quick setting. And I know that I've already test fitted these, well, one of them at least, taped together into those booms, so I know that they're going to fit well. And what I might have to do here is go around with some Mr. Surfacer in the corners, just to, because we've got like little tiny gaps in there. We'll see how it looks. It should be absolutely fine actually, because it's going to get dirtied up with a wash. This model is going to depict an aircraft which has seen some use, not a mega ton of use, but you know, I'm not going to beat the living daylights out of it, but I do want to weather it. So, and you think initially when I started this, I was doing this was basically a video to say this is why I change build sequences, and here you go. And it's proved so popular. I mean, a couple of you guys have even ordered the kit. Another guy has said he really wants it, but he's been scared by the reviews he's read, and my build is making him want it. Well, my advice to anyone that hasn't built, who wants this and hasn't done it because of the reviews, go and give it a go, because I'll tell you what, in my experience, there's nothing wrong with it. It's got some quirky stuff, don't get me wrong. It's like these panels here, I don't know why they bothered with them, because even on the D version they could have just had, you know, photo etched chaff dispensers or whatever. They didn't have to have them as moulded panels that went inside. But you know, not every kit's perfect. In fact, you know, is there any such thing as the perfect kit? Now, does that go on the outside of those lugs? I guess it does. I don't think this area can be seen anyway. So that's gone down in like that. Now I'm going to let all this go off before I start doing anything with it, because I got a feeling that should be flat there, and that's where the engine bulkhead's going to go. But I want to make sure it looks good on the inside. Let's just put some glue in there just to seal that in. And then this rear bulkhead's going to slot down in here. Just get something to nudge that into position. Then I can glue it from this side. And there is one extra detailed undercarriage bay, which in my opinion looks pretty lovely. So as I say, anybody that's thinking, oh no, I'm not going to build that, it's a nightmare, it's really, really nice. I think my next Kitty Hawk kit will be be one of two. It'll either be the Kingfisher, which I absolutely love that aircraft, or it will be the MH60. Now this rod is designed to just go through, so I'm just going to push that through there, like so, and out the other side. Get my cutters, nip that off, get some extra thin round there, job done. And there we are. That's one undercarriage bay all done. And I think you'll agree that looks very nice indeed, with all the brass bracketry and stuff in there. So I'll get the other one done and then I'll come back. Right, I'm just holding all this together here, and you can see the fit of that bay in that boom is just beautiful. If you look around the edge here, you can see it. And the way to achieve that is to make sure when you put this in, make sure that this rear bulkhead goes under this rear bulkhead here needs to go under there, because if it wants to sit on the outside of it like that. See how it's sat there with a gap here? It needs to go under. So you need to make sure that you push the fuselage up and push that bulkhead in. See, it's still not gone under. You need to make sure it goes under to achieve that good fit in there. Otherwise it's all angled down this way. So that's just a little observation for you, something to be going on with. So if people say don't build this kit because it doesn't fit, the reason is it just fits so very, very well. That's the thing with it, and you need to make sure everything goes together properly. Personally, I think it's a great little kit as far as I've gone with it. And you know I'm critical how I not models if they're not right. I think this is lovely. I mean, look at that fit. That is just lovely, absolutely stunning. So yeah, and the other thing is, on the outside of these undercarriage bays, if you use the plastic rod like I did, the fit is that good in there. You need to sand that flush, otherwise it pushes it away. When you put it in, it pushes it away from the sidewall. So yeah, these areas here where I've got that writing, they actually butt up in there. So you can glue that in there and it will be absolutely solid. It really is gorgeous. And you can see there that rear bulkhead has gone underneath. If it sits on top, if it doesn't want to go underneath, it sits on top, then it pushes it down. So it needs to be underneath. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is have a look at these booms in this area here. Right, I've brought you a bit closer for this so that I can be more at one with you. These panels here look to me on an A version to be totally fictitious. If anything, I think the other side, the starboard side, may have something representing like that small square panel there. But the pictures I've seen on Prime Portal don't have anything. Just behind here, these slots, these are actually marker lights by the look of it, and they supply you this in the Eduard set, these two squares here, which I think look far too big. So the first thing I'm going to do is protect those with some tape. So we'll cover those up so that we don't start sanding away at them. If I use a smaller piece on there, just like so. Okay. And the other thing I want to do is cover up these rivets, because I don't want to be putting Mr. Surfacer in those rivet holes. So I'm just going to come along with some tape and just attempt to cover those rivets to keep the Mr. Surfacer out of them. These here I'm not going to be able to salvage, I don't think. And I'll do the same on this one. And this, so far, this is my only criticism of the build sequence, which is nothing to moan about because you can do it your way. But I wish they hadn't done these panels. I think they're a complete and utter pain. I wish they'd just made it straight, straight across, and then you could, for the D version, you could use photo etched chaff on there if you wanted to. Okay, so just going to cover those rivets on the end there. I can hear you crying, why are you bothering covering those rivets for? Well, why make work for yourself? It's better if they're covered. It's less work for you at the end of the day having to try and re-establish them. I've got to do rivet work around there anyway, so I may as well salvage what I can. There we go. I'll just put that one in there, and that should help us with that. So I've got some Mr. Surfacer 1000 here, and I'm just basically going to paint it into these areas where the joins are. I should attempt to stay away from those rivets. I don't know how successful I'll be. There we go. And what will hopefully happen here is this will all just go down in. That's why I'm using 1000. I could have used 500, but in my experience, when you use 500 on little gaps like this, what happens is it sits on the surface, and then when you sand it, even with the gap back. So and this top one is actually a panel line, so hopefully it'll just go down in there enough to make it look like a panel line. When it's painted over with green and the washes in there, everything, it should look great. So you can see here it's sinking down in there already, so I'll just put some more on there. And then I'm going to move over and look at the other one. So that's not a panel line there, so we'll fill that one right up. This one at the top's a panel line, so we'll just brush some on there and hopefully it'll go in. And then this one here is going to have to be completely sanded away, and the same with this one here. And now you can see why I taped up the rivets and everything. It's just to try and stop me getting them full of Mr. Surfacer and having to clean them all out. And there we go. Now that needs to be left for, I don't know, 12 hours to go off before I sand it down. On the top edge, on that line there, let's put one more quick layer on there. Hopefully that will remain a panel line, but I'll probably use the alcohol treatment on there just to remove it and try and leave the remnants of the panel line. This area around here is completely going to be sanded away. And there we go, guys. And while I was there, I actually brushed some across the back of that bracket as well. I'll go in there with some alcohol and clean that out. So I think we'll call that a wrap for this. This has been part 3. So what have we done? We've put the lower surfaces on our wings. We've done all the photo etch in the undercarriage bays, and now we're ready to put them together. We're ready to put the booms together. I'm tempted to cut these rudders out and give them a little twist, even just maybe slice them and just give them a twist, because they're such a massive feature of the aircraft, and I think they'd look good if they were just off centre. It's the same as when you make a model car. If all the 4 wheels point dead forward, it just, I don't know, it's just a bit not boring, but it just looks, you very rarely see a car parked with its wheels absolutely dead straight, and generally got a bit of a turn to him or something. So yeah, it'd be nice to do that, because you've got all these control surfaces on here that are all positionable. The elevator is positionable, so I think it'd be nice to have a little kick on the rudders as well. And I can't remember now because it was a couple of days ago, but I think I showed you I've sanded all this out and got rid of that seam. I'll give that some time to sink back, and I'll get some primer on there and see how it looks. And again, this wing is very rigid, very straight, very nice, very happy, very pleased with how that's come out. So that's been part 3. Thank you for watching. Part 4 may be a little while away. Today is Thursday the 20th of June 2019, and as some of you will be aware, Friday the 21st of June is the launch date for the new Airfix Hellcat, which I'll be reviewing and building here. And as I said in a few, look at the bubbles appearing in there, as I've said in a few other videos regarding the Hellcat, and I think I've mentioned it on another video with this model as well, as soon as that kit becomes available, it will be reviewed and built, and everything else here will get dropped. So that's basically what's going to happen. This will probably stop. Having said that, though, I am enjoying this so much, I probably will just slip this in. When I get fed up with chipping and interior green and everything, I probably will just do a bit of this, and perhaps, you know, even if I do like 10 minutes at a time and then make up a video over 3 or 4 days, then I may just slip some in, because I really am enjoying this model. Probably because I thought I wouldn't. Probably because I thought it was going to be a complete nightmare. But no, my estimation of Kitty Hawk, I didn't have one before, but if I'd been pushed, I'd have probably said something like 2 out of 10. This is way up there now, way up there. Really enjoying it. I'm the sort of guy that I don't enjoy building stuff like Tamiya kits that just fall together. I mean, they're beautiful. They are beautiful. There's no doubt about it. The engineering is incredible, but I don't enjoy shake and bake kits. This sort of stuff I absolutely love, because it's got all the detail there. It appears to be fairly accurate other than this little bit here. It's got some lovely surface detail. When I bought it, the kit was reasonably priced. It's gone up a lot since. The photo etch is a bargain, and it really, really does add to it. So yeah, all in all, this is just a little gem, I think. And I know a lot of people have gone out and bought one on the back of my videos. So great. I hope you enjoy, guys, and I hope you enjoy building it with me. So thanks for watching. As I said, this has been part 3. Part 4 will be up whenever. Bye bye.